Dear friends, let's make a brief review of all that we have gone through the past lesson, summarize it, so to speak. We have learned that the nature of any suffering is incredibly primitive, in fact. It is simple and is born from a dualistic split, from an internal conflict, which in turn stems from the fact that in the beginning one has to learn how to compare and evaluate. And from here comes the countless number of so-called polarities. That is the nature of dualism. It is not a limited number of internal conflicts and polarities that give birth and then a sense of inner chaos and despair in man. Although he used to think that this is really something outside his inside tearing apart and does something with it irreparable. But in reality, everything is exactly the opposite. There is a creation of internal split in half in the inside of the conflict. A person, like a pendulum, he starts to rush. When he rushes inside polarities, creating internal conflict, it accumulates within himself. More and more so-called atomic energy, so to speak, which is then summed, and it is very suppressed, which ultimately leads to an explosion, because the lid on a jar of atomic energies hold indefinitely impossible. But we already have made it clear that a person feels depressed and worthless. He is doomed to rush between the guilt and nullity and be sure to compensate for a feeling of importance. This feeling of insignificance because he just gets mad with grief, and he cannot turn it off until it is turned off in the dualistic split. He cannot jump out of there. He cannot see that there are other ways. It seems to him that the time here he feels worthless, so he has to jump out to somewhere to find freedom, the importance and significance. That is, if he keeps himself endlessly in depression, it is necessary to be sure to somehow express or affect the state of aggression or crying or tears or I don't know, like he gets drunk and will have sex with anyone. And in the morning, having received such a release from his pain, even more to slide into a state of disgust, loathing to him. It's just one of my students told me after finding inner freedom, he was trying to clean himself. He tried so hard that he scratched his neck. And he explained to me, I slept with a drunken woman and I'm so sick of myself that I was trying to rinse it. I had nowhere to put myself and I tried aggressively that I scratched myself. This is the energy that wraps around when you try to escape somewhere from the shackles of emptiness, making yourself worse. And it turns out that you cast even more in the sense of inferiority, because the circle is closed, increasing self-loathing. Their growing lack of confidence in themselves require enhanced compensation, and the gain compensation leads to higher frustration, and great disappointment require further compensation. These reveals and polarities, they externally look very grotesque, often, because when a person from feeling of worthlessness seeks to somehow gain a sense of importance, he is looking outside. He always aimed outward. He's not aware of everything that happens within it. And it seems to him that, well, here's a look. But I proved I became significant. I became as valuable. Give it to me and acknowledge it. Therefore, ego tactics often look so grotesque, hysterical, so flaunt, and very demonstrative. Because people like to ask this. Please, give me this, tell me that I am now important. Right now, did I already reach to you that I am important, that I am valuable, because I do not believe it in myself? That's how the pain screams. And when we realize that the person shouts about the pain of emptiness, we can see beyond any bravado, beyond any certainty, beyond of any pressure. That's just such pressure. I am an absolutely confident businesswoman. We can always see beneath this thick layer of bravado and alia. Here is such a hysterical belief,
я вот такой вот истеричный
very,
психопат,
very
что
great pain and
очень люблю
despair,
большую боль. И
because people do not realize
потому что человек не
that
сможет
only here, from
жить
awareness,
без осознанности,
comes the balance,
баланс,
peace,
покой
serenity,
и очень
and
гармония.
total harmony.
И
The
люди
illusion that we can somehow establish clearly on one of the sides and stop brushing
и
is
выходить
absurd,
питаться
because it's the
всем
same thing,
подпольщикам.
really.
Это же одно и то же на самом
So when
деле.
people say, I'm here
И человек
now,
говорит, я вот сейчас выбираю
choose a
позицию,
position,
не
for
знаю,
example,
сейчас буду вот,
I'll be right
всей
there due to the
нацией, вот
nation,
этой вот нацией, а
but it
потом
clearly
буду поливать.
cannot be anything other than
Конечно
the
же, это
pain
не может
intensified,
быть ничем, кроме
because the more I
зависимости
cause
от
this
этого. Потому что
nation,
я вот
the more
выбираю
I am in
позицию,
protest
то тем больше я
against the
нахожусь в
other,
протесте против другой. И тем
and
самым
thus I reach
дохожу до
such an
такого
absurdity
абсурда,
determined to
обусловленности,
crush
что
my soul,
дробление в
it
моей
becomes
душе
unbearable for
не в
me,
силах для
an
меня
unbearable ocean of
когда
pain,
и я
yeah, and it
начинаю,
becomes my
это
life,
становится моей
where I
жизнью, я
get to
дохожу до
such
такого идиотизма,
idiocy.
что еще
I'm
хуже,
looking
что
for
на каждом
excellence
шаге
in each of my
мне
steps,
становится уже не все равно, что мы
and it's
вообще-то
not like we are Petersburg's,
а, мы
but
что-то
maybe even
совершим.
Moscovitz.
Все
All
верят,
wars
что мы
start
будем
in a
говорить истину.
dualistic split,
И это рождает
and this
такое
gives rise
напряжение,
to internal conflict in the beginning,
личностное,
then interpersonal,
междоусобное.
then internecine, and then worldwide.
И так
So, guys,
развивается
let's
целый
close our
процесс.
eyes.
Я, правда,
I'll direct a
встречала
fresh example of yesterday's
настоящие
session.
сессии, когда
When the
люди
students
говорят,
say,
почему
why am I
я?
alone?
Нет,
No,
ну
but
почему?
why
Почему
am I
один?
alone? Why? Let's
Почему?
watch
Ну давайте
this
почувствуем.
feeling, let's
После
feel
этого,
this state,
после
just
всего
mind the
пройдите
thought
это.
form
Почему
now
я
and talk.
один?
Why am I
Почему я один?
alone?
Почему я одна?
Why am I alone?
Что это
What
вообще
kind of
за
feeling
ситуация?
gives birth?
Этот
This
вопрос.
question to yourself, what
Очень
feeling
интересный.
immediately goes in the
Я
body?
вот очень
We
люблю.
observe that a feeling in the body.
Так.
So, the
Что
feeling in the
именно?
body,
Какие
orienting to the heart
предпосылки?
chakra in the
Что
first
такое
place.
ключевая
Maybe
точка?
someone has it in the stomach or in the
Громче в
coccyx
сердцебиении.
chakra or the solar
Иногда
plexus,
это
sometimes at
бывает
the third
где-то
eye and
именно
the
там
throat,
бывает. Но
which is also
чаще,
quite rare.
большей
Most of
частью
it is in the
это в сердечной
heart
чакре, в
chakra,
солнечном
the
сплетении
solar plexus,
и
and
в
the
песцовой.
sacral.
Наблюдайте,
Watch.
какие идут
What are the
реакции.
reactions in the area?
Алена, почему
Why
я
am I
один?
alone?
Почему
Why
я
am I
один?
alone? And
Наблюдайте,
observe
что
the
реакция.
reactions. A
Почему
chemical
реакция
reaction
Алены
in the body
проистекает от
originates,
того, что
arises from the
это
fact that it is
начинает видеть
endured with the
что-то
interpretation
страшное,
of
это
the.
означает,
It's
что я
scary.
никчемный.
This means that
Вот почему я
I'm
один.
worthless. That's why I'm alone. Here
Здесь
originates
рождается
a
чувство
feeling of
опустошенности.
emptiness,
Не от
but
того,
not
что
from the
сама по
thought
себе
form
неспособна,
itself.
почему
Why
я
am I
один
alone?
человек
It
во
means
всем,
something.
а
But
потому что
because
надо
it is
какая-то
endured with the
интерпретация,
interpretation, the
какая-то
pendulum swings. The
интерпретация
interpretation of what
того,
it means
что
that
это
I'm vile,
означает, что я ничтожен, что я
I'm
бедный,
bad,
что я не
that I do not meet
соответствую
certain
этим там
LI
нормам.
standards. Watching
Наблюдайте
now
процесс,
of these
который
interpretations are
зарождается в
created
теле.
in the body that is
Что
being
рождается?
created. So,
Итак,
what we have
сейчас
just
люди
seen,
высказывают
how a
свою
sense
точку
of
зрения.
emptiness has been born.
То есть
There was a
была
thought
мысль
form.
вслух.
Why
Почему
am
я
I
один?
alone?
Из
And
нее
out of this
родилась
interpretation was
интерпретация.
born.
Это означает,
It
что
means
я
that I am
никчемный.
useless. From
Из
this
этой
interpretation
интерпретации
comes the
рождается
chemical
химическое
feeling in the body.
ощущение в теле. Идем
Go
дальше.
ahead. That's
Вот
when thought
когда мысли,
thought forms.
вот когда я
That's when I will
буду
not be
не
alone.
один,
Then
тогда все
everything will be
будет
well.
хорошо. Интерпретация
Interpretation
мысли
of this thought
формы.
form. When
Когда
I
я
will
буду
be
не
not
один,
alone,
тогда
then
все
I
будет
and
хорошо.
everything will be
Почему?
fine. But why? Because
Потому
I am
что
a
я стану
full-fledged, beloved,
полноценный,
precious.
любимый, ценный. Так,
So we're
наблюдаем.
seeing that feeling in the
Теперь
body in
понятно, что
polarity.
идет
There is a
раскачивание.
swinging
Наблюдаем.
sense of value.
Чувство
Finally,
ценности.
finally,
Наконец-то,
I
наконец-то
compensate for
стабилизирую
my
свое опустошенное
devastation and
сердце.
will
Чувство
attain a
важности.
sense of
Чувство
importance, of a sense of
значимости, чувство
meaning, a
нужности.
sense of
Я
usefulness.
буду
It'll be
нужен.
useful.
Так.
So, and
Значит,
so I
ценный.
will be valuable. We
Наблюдайте,
observe what is
происходит
happening
такое.
here.
Такое.
Such,
Ой, вот это вот.
this,
Это
that's
произойдет
going
со
to
мной. Это
happen to
произойдет.
me.
Когда это
Yes, this
произойдет,
will happen.
вот тогда
When
я
this
буду жить.
happens, that's it. I'm going to live.
И мы
And we have
наблюдаем, что
seen
это очень
that this is
короткое
very short feeling because the
адреналиновое
adrenaline
состояние.
surge as well as adrenaline surge with a sense of anxiety, adrenaline splash and a sense of relief. It is very short. Seeing a roll back like this, and yet here it is. So what? And then seeing shifter as shifter polarity works. How long I'm not alone, as I have it all got. I have absolutely no moments of peace. But if I'll be alone, and the thought form is, now if I'll be alone, I would have so much rest and freedom. And here I am alone. I'm alone. How well I'm finally one. How great I'm finally alone. But I've not won, and here's the family. It all tears me to pieces, and I am constantly in some constantly nerve break condition, and very exhausted. I cannot. I was so devastated when I am not alone. Thus, flip flop inevitable. We observe today as the polarity of the work. That is the first feeling we take. I'm alone. I'm all alone. I'm physically here as one. And the feeling of emptiness. It seems to me that the emptiness of that I am alone. The second point, I'm not alone. Now I have a woman, I have kids, but I'm so tired, so furious. I was again devastated. If I could only be alone. Here I have one. We look at a picture where I'm alone again. Oh well, when I'm alone, what a relief, what freedom is. And again, I was once again devastated. But if I was not alone, well, obviously, yes. That's how it is in the mind of throwing happens, born this way. That is, we think that first is a thought form. I am the one, and the connection is straight, so I'm not happy. And here I'm not alone, so I'm happy. Then the challenging. I'm not alone, that's why I'm not happy. But if I had one, I'd be happy. So in fact, while I'm in the playground of conceptual, dualistic mind, I inevitably doomed is constantly in a certain state, waiting in part fullness, and being in the present moment in the void simply devastates. That is, in fact, that people are not being chased for external changes so that supposedly will give them this feeling. And it tends unconsciously to the state of integration and harmony. And of course, while he's in the polarities within, he could not find it there. And now let's do the following practices. I am one, so I am unhappy. Watch this state. I'm one, so I'm devastated. When I'm not alone, I'm fulfilled. And now let's do a flip flop. When I'm not alone, I'm devastated because I am not free. I'm devastated. When I'm alone, I will be fulfilled. So, in fact, when I am alone, I am devastated. When I am not alone, I am devastated. In the present moment, what is happening? When I am alone, I am devastated. And when I am not, I am all the same devastation. I'm always devastated. At the present moment, here and now, while I am not aware, I've always been devastated. Here or here, in these circumstances, I am doomed to live a kind of illusory expectation of tomorrow, which is supposedly going to make me full. So fullness, full. That's when I watch the habit of my thoughts that tomorrow will give salvation. So I'm watching from the top, directly above the crown, are located over the top of the mind. I see a little over my own body, the way on how in my mind flow of habitual thoughts, that I'm not alone in this moment, like as if such there are circumstances it makes me miserable. And I'll be in a happy moment tomorrow if these circumstances obey me. Let's observe the difference. I'm devastated because the circumstances made me this way. We're conditioned. Now let's change perspective. I used to think I was devastated because the circumstances do make me this way. We go back. I am deeply unhappy because they are not the circumstances I would like. Let's go up. I used to think that I am unhappy because allegedly circumstances make me such way. Let's go back again. I believe that I am unhappy because I am not in those circumstances. We observe the feeling in the body. I used to think, mindfulness. I used to think that I am unhappy because there is not the circumstances that I need. We observe the feelings in the body. I am deeply unhappy because there are not the circumstances. I used to think that I am unhappy because there is not the circumstances that I need. Observe feelings in the body. We're going back to the consciousness. Now I realize that my habit to be unhappy makes me happy. I'm aware of that. From the crown of the head, I'm aware of that. And I just observe your feeling in the body. I'm aware of that. We do not confer any interpretation, but just observe. Yes, I am aware of that. I'm just looking in the sense of the body, sensations in the body, not giving any estimate interpretation. Now looking, yes, I am aware that I used to be unhappy and to recreate those feelings in myself. But damn, how can I be with this? What do I do with this? To me, this still need to do something with it. It's been so long that I cannot continue in my life, even though I realize that this is not the external circumstances doing this with me. But what am I to do with it? That's it. We just jump from observation down to criticism. That's it. This is the way we can see the difference. So as soon as I observe my thought form, on the occasion I have new thought form about it. That means I jumped out of awareness. So when students say that I supposedly am in awareness and there's no clearness there too, because why? Because they lost awareness. They missed the moment when they tumbled to the criticism. It calls all into the question to compare, to evaluate, and make this assessment again. And it turns out that if we miss that moment, as soon as we begin to think about our own thoughts, it turns out that we have already lost our non-judgmental. We have missed the moment when a new thought process has begun on the old thought process, and thus just slip back into unconsciousness. And it seems to us that, while our intention to keep it in awareness, and in fact has once again suffered a setback. This way we can track that again, I do think, and I can get up back again and start watching my feelings in the body, and to watch my old thoughts, which I study as a source of my feeling in the body. On the surface, it looks like a simple practice. Well, guys, it is not simple. Let's stop here and jump back and forth and observe during the day how it is not that easy to be in constant awareness, and training is required constantly. However, and most importantly, that as soon as we're trying to keep something, we immediately lose it. It's like the game of polarities. Remember our graphs? That if I have something to hold, I lose it. Like if I hold a man, I'm losing it automatically. If I hold this status of awareness, I'm losing it, of course, because I incline the conceptual mind that thinks how to keep it from losing. If I want to find a pure stream of consciousness, to connect to the source, if I think as much as I do not lose, as I would find a stream of consciousness and connect with the source, I have already lost. So let's not just to practice back and forth jumps, making our first jumps between awareness and back out, from awareness and back. That is to say, I forgot. Yes, I forgot that I was aware of myself. So pop back and realize myself again. That as a skilled conscious witness will also eventually happen to be automatically. But this is the result of training. I'll see you soon.